Hi, my name is Brad Daw. I'm here with Julie Walker, who's running for seat 4 in the new school district, which covers Orem, Linden, Pleasant Grove, and Vineyard. I understand the working name now is Timpanogos. I've heard that's controversial, but we're going with Timpanogos until we hear different. Julie is the wife of a retired teacher and the mother of 3 kids who've gone through schools in the area. She's welcomed 3 exchange students from China who graduated from the Alpine School District, and she understands the values of education. For more than 15 years, she's served in the PTA and on school community councils, including several years on the Alpine District Community Council. Much of that time was spent as the Orem PTA president, where she worked closely with president, teachers, and administrators to strengthen schools. Professionally, she built a career as a small business owner and is proud to be the only woman in Utah to own and operate a licensed security business. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. And the only woman at present, to pass the state's qualifying agent exam. Before that, she spent a decade running an insurance agency specializing in helping educators with their insurance and retirement planning with Alpine School District as her assigned area. These experiences as a mom, community leader, and business leader have taught her how to build relationships, balance budgets, and solve problems. And she is committed to working with parents, educators, and elected officials to ensure this new district gets off to an amazing start. Julie, welcome. We're glad to have you here today.
Thank you. This is awesome.
And I always have to ask people who are trying to run for office, what in the world prompted you to want to do that?
Well, I have all of this knowledge about how schools operate, how they work best, and I think this is a great opportunity to start a new school district and build it from the ground up, just like I would a business. I feel like we can do some great things. I believe in working smarter, not harder, and I want to create a place that our kids can thrive, our teachers can thrive, our families can feel part of a community, and our parents can feel heard and seen, and just make a better school district with the smaller amount of schools in it.
All right, and of course the follow-up question to that is, this takes a lot of time and energy. How are you going to define the way that you do this so that you're not just there, but you're an effective member of the school board?
Well, I think because I own my own business, that means I have full control of my schedule. I'm not beholden to an employer. I'm not beholden to another school board. I'm not beholden to be somewhere that I have to be there. This is by my own choice. So I was the Orem Council PTA president for 8 years, all while running my own business. And that took a lot of time. And I know this will take even more time, but I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it to go into schools and see where I can be helpful. Where can I be most helpful to people and to people, things that people want to move forward. And I have knowledge of teachers and how they want to be treated and how we should be taking care of them. And we should be taking care of them a lot better. I can't tell you how many teachers were getting close to retirement, and when they would say, well, I have a 401k and it has $25,000 in it after 30 years of service, in my head I was thinking, you did this wrong. That didn't work. I would love it if, number one, we kept that early retirement stipend in place for those teachers, because Alpine School District is one of the last districts to have that. And that's the gold at the end of the rainbow for our teachers. But at the same time, I think every year we should present an opportunity for all of the employees of the district to get some free retirement planning help, to check their 401k. Most people don't even know how to log into the URS and check their 401k. They have no idea how any of that works. And just going through it with them. So not only am I taking care of them now, but I want to take care of them for the future and give them a future when they retire.
Right. I'm intrigued by the fact that you own your own security agency. That puts you in a very unique position. And it puts me in mind of, well, frankly, some tragic events that have happened recently. At UVU, we had this terrible shooting of a nationally prominent figure. Just a couple of days ago, we had a suicide at Canyon View Junior High. And of course, a few years back, we had an incident with a knife at Mountain View. As a school board member, school safety has got to be one of your top priorities. How are you going to address that?
Well, I think there's that bigger conversation about, how are we keeping our students safe in the schools? And Alpine has done a really good job using the funds that the legislature has set aside to secure those schools. You can't just walk into a school anymore. When I was the PTA president at Cascade, that was when it was the old Cascade. And we would have people come onto the Cascade property all the time because there was no fence between the Cascade Park and the Cascade Elementary playground. People would let their dogs off the leash, and they'd come into the playground, and we had so many trailers out back because of the Chinese immersion program. So we tried to think, how are we going to make this more secure? So we asked the dads of Cascade to donate a day every school year, just one day, and they would be our watchdog in the yard. Their job was to always be out watching, looking for someone who didn't belong there. They were checking doors to be locked. Kids were coming in and out to go to use the bathroom inside the school because they weren't out in the trailers. Every classroom in Cascade had a solid glass door out to the playground with a solid glass window next to it. It wouldn't have taken much for someone with a really bad idea. And so we were pretty concerned that our kids were not safe. We utilized our dads and asked them to be our watchdog. I think that we should be using people, because when they would see that there's a dad there, right, in the yard. And sometimes we get 2 or 3 dads that would show up to be the watchdog that day. What we also found was that when there was a watchdog out in the playground, the kids were better behaved. They would help out in the lunchroom. The kids were better behaved in the lunchroom. And just in general, the school felt safer. So we can look at doing more technology things to help us identify if someone is in the school or someone has something in their backpack. But I think just kids feeling a connection. So the incident at the school where the 6th grader brought the gun just a couple of weeks ago, the reason why they knew it and they had the scene completely stabilized within 3 minutes is because a student came forward and said he has something in his backpack. So if you see something, say something, and just keep reminding those kids, if you hear something, if you see something, you've got to tell someone. That's not gonna make anybody mad. In fact, I think we should give that student an award for bravery, because he came into the office and he said there was something in another kid's backpack, and within 3 minutes it was over. The whole thing was over. So if we could just keep that in mind, that if you see something, say something. If you hear something, say something. Anything.
All right. That's actually a fascinating answer. I hadn't heard a lot of that about school safety. Those are some of the better ideas I've heard, and congratulations on that. Obviously, as a district starting up, this is a brand new district, so
Yes.
you have everything to do. Now, first of all, what do you see as your role in this new district as a school board member? What is going to be your main job?
Well, the main job of the school board, they have a couple set up that we're supposed to do. Hire a superintendent, hire a business administrator, set policy. My goal is to get us a good superintendent, a great superintendent. And we also need a great business administrator. But then when it comes to policy, that's where I don't want to rubber stamp whatever has been gone on for year after year after year in Alpine School District. I think we should set smart policies. We should go through every policy that they have, and we should set it to where it makes more sense for our district, as opposed to, well, this is the way we've been doing it. Let's just keep doing that. But the role of a school board member is a lot like setting up a board of directors, where the taxpayers are going to elect themselves 7 people. And those 7 people are going to hold the superintendent accountable. And the superintendent, while we set the policy, his job is to carry out that policy. It's not his job to tell me what a policy should be. It's his job to carry out the policy, and he runs the district with the teachers.
And that sounds like that's going to become part of your criteria about selecting that new superintendent, is somebody who will respect the board and carry out your policy and do his best to be an effective administrator without thinking that he's kind of the, for want of a better term, the dictator of the district, but he
Right.
is the implementer of the school board's policy.
Right. And we have to look at every policy and see if that works for us, or if there's a better way we could handle something.
Excellent. Now, one of the other big things that's going to come up is right now you have some boundaries that overlap into the old school district. You have some boundaries that don't make a lot of sense given the
Right.
new school district area you have.
Right.
How are you going to address that, knowing that you're going to make some people very upset? There's no way around that.
Well, I have thought about this, and I have thought about, what does the first 100 days look like as a school board member? And in that first 100 days, we got a lot of work to do. We got to hire a superintendent, got to hire a business administrator. We also have to launch a full boundary study of the whole district, because we have the schools down in Vineyard that are full. They are full. When my husband started teaching at Mountain View, there were 2,500 kids there. Right now, they're at about 1,700. So they have room to absorb more. But then you have Orem High, the smallest school in the district. Orem has the 3 smallest. Little old Orem, Utah has 3 high schools, which is crazy. And right now, as they are in Alpine, they are the smallest schools in the district, smallest high schools.
And
but-
of course, the best. I'm a little biased
yes.
there. But
Yes. So we have a need, right, to shift those boundaries probably, where we could probably make more use of Aspen Elementary, Bonneville, Westmore, where we could be filling in those schools a little more from the east coming, or from the west coming to the east. And then we probably need to shift a little bit more forward. With just to even out, I want to know how many kids are in each school and how big is that school built for. Cascade Elementary was built for 500, and when we got our new school built, we were sitting at about 750. So some schools were only built for so many kids. That was the beauty of Orem, right? We had our small walkable schools, but now where we need to kind of even things out, we need to see what's the capacity at each school and where we're at on that capacity. And then maybe think about, and I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying. When you say, let's adjust boundaries. I was the council president in Orem, and I was involved in all 3 closures. So when we would they would close a school and combine it with another community, I was sent in to set up a new PTA board. You're talking about taking 2 different cultures and 2 different traditions, right? And putting them together and then making that work. And does it always work really well from the beginning? No, it doesn't. It has never really been a smooth process. But I understand what I'm saying when I say we want to adjust some boundaries. That means some people who've been going to one school for years and years and years might be sending their kids to another school. And I know that's hard. But we also have open enrollment. So if it really is important to you, you can always opt to stay in the school you're at.
So you have kind of a safety valve there for those who just really, really need to be in that old school.
You know, that's what I've learned in Orem, especially with Orem High, is that those people that went to Orem High, now their kids go to Orem High. And it's really hard for them to think, you want my kid to go to Timpanogos? Julie Walker, you are crazy.
Or worse yet, Mountain View.
Oh my goodness. So I just think, I know what I'm saying, and I know that's really hard, but I just need you to have just enough trust in me that I'm going to do what's best for you, taxpayer, and you, student, and you, family member, to make it so that we can keep all the schools we have.
Now, you mentioned taxpayer. I think that's great because obviously your school's got to be funded. And that's tax. And
That's taxes.
It's our favorite kind of tax. It's property tax, the one we all love the most. Now, Alpine is kind of what I would call a parting shot. Or a goodbye, and however you want to call it. They raised property taxes pretty significantly, just kind of almost at their last literal school board meeting. Now that's a benefit financially to the new school district, but it's also a burden to taxpayers.
Yeah.
So that new tax hike, obviously as a school board, you'll have the opportunity to revisit that. Do you plan on using it, keeping it, getting rid of it? What are your thoughts in general on taxing policy as a school board member?
Well, I have information that some people probably don't want to hear, but of your property taxes that are going to the school district, some of those property taxes don't go to the school district. They're going back to developers. So if we talk about City of Vineyard, for instance, back in 2011, 2012, there was an RDA. You know what I'm talking about.
Boy, do I know what you're talking about.
So what we need to do, so what we're talking about is the City of Vineyard has an RDA that says 75% of all property taxes collected go back to the developer. They don't go to the school district. So here's the problem. If we leave that RDA in place, but we're dissolving Alpine School District, now they have an RDA with an entity that no longer exists. So in that little loophole, could we maybe get some legislation that says the developers have to come back to the negotiating table with the new school district? Because I would probably negotiate that 75% down to a more reasonable rate, because they have that 75% based on 14 municipalities. And now we're only going to be 4.
Well, developers may not love you, but I could see taxpayers celebrating that.
Look, I love developers. Development is important, right? But we're developing at the expense of our children's education. And that's not right. Do I want them to have their money that they need? Yes. Do they need 75% of all the property taxes collected in the City of Vineyard? That's a little high, and it's for a little bit of a long time. So if we could renegotiate that, and there's a couple other RDAs around Orem and Pleasant Grove that we could negotiate down, then we wouldn't have to raise property taxes.
I really appreciate your answer on RDAs, and of course that brings up the other one. It's not an RDA, but it's a CDA. Any thoughts about the Orem University Mall? I guess now it's called University Place.
Yeah.
Would you do the same idea?
Yeah, same idea there. Same idea there. Both of those, the RDA in Vineyard and the CDA in Woodbury, were both extended because of COVID reasons. So I just think because we are dissolving Alpine School District, that should create the space for us to say, hey, we're a new district. You don't have a signed agreement with us, and we would like it if you would come back to the negotiating table, because I have some issues with the whole thing, and we could renegotiate. And then guess what? Your property taxes increases will stop because we will have plenty of money because we're not giving it to the developers.
Yeah, and that's the thing is
Yeah.
this new school district has both of those in it, and so our homeowners are taking a huge hit because of it. Well, all right, let's talk to our legislators and see what we can do about that. All right.
I mean, there's other things I'd like to talk to them about as well, because the way that they're splitting our district, assets versus liabilities, they're splitting assets based on student count, and we will have the lowest student count, but they're splitting the liabilities based on property values, and Orem has the highest property values.
Well, hopefully you can at least negotiate out the fact that we don't get the benefit of all those property values because of those CDs and RDs.
Right.
But that touches on, you mentioned that as part of dividing our assets.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to be worried about with asset division? Obviously, that's going to be a pretty big negotiating point going forward.
When it comes to the asset division, right? Well, number one, if you're gonna split the district asset-wise based on student count, then split the liabilities on student count. If you're going to split it on property value, split it both ways. But the way that they've kind of cherry-picked that to be student count versus property values, it's kind of not a great idea for us.
That's state law, or is that
that's
policy?
how it's written right now. The legislation is written right now. It just smacks Orem both ways, and that's not fair. But we will walk away with our real estate, and we will be real estate rich. We won't be cash rich, but we will be real estate rich.
Now, have you reached out to any legislators to discuss this with them to kind of get an idea on feasibility?
There have been some that have been contacted, and we are just waiting to see if that goes through. I think they're waiting to see who gets elected to the school board and who would like to tackle that. And I think that's where you have that relationship capital, right? You have to have some sort of capital in your relationships with people. When you show up to their town hall meetings and point your finger in their chest and tell them all the things they're doing wrong, that doesn't make for relationship capital. But you approach them privately and respectfully and say, here's my problem, could you help me fix it? I'm pretty sure we have a lot of sensible legislators that would be like, oh, that is a problem. Yeah, let's see what we can do to fix that. It's just all in how you approach the relationship, and then you keep a relationship. And you treat people with respect. My goodness.
Gee, what a novel concept. All right, we talked a lot about asset division, and I think there's a lot to be said there, but I want to move on to one specific aspect of it, and that's transportation. I mean, Orem's a pretty compact area. The district itself is pretty built out, but I would imagine you'll still need some level of transportation.
Right.
Have you thought about that and where Orem, well, I guess the Timpanogos School District might have to go with that?
Yeah, well, transportation comes down to negotiations, right? We're going to negotiate out those other tangible assets, the buses and the portables. Are we going to need buses? Absolutely. If we're going to look at the boundaries and we're going to shift them from the west to the east, that means we're going to have to bring kids in from Vineyard to the Orem schools, and they're going to need a bus. When they closed Sharon Elementary, they said they had a few concerns, and they didn't call their school board member. They called me and said, we need you, Orem Council PTA president, to facilitate a meeting between us and the district. And I did just that. And you know what they asked for? They asked for a bus. They asked for a bus to go from their kids that were at 800 North and State Street to Cascade Elementary at 800 East and Center Street. It was too far. They wanted their kids to get to school safely. They wanted to get their kids to school so they could eat breakfast. We know if we can get the kids there and we can feed them, we're going to have them there every day.
So the parents reached out to you because they figured that you could get it done.
I could get it done.
And you did.
And I did.
There you
And
go.
they didn't even bother calling their school board member. Yeah.
All right, this may be a touchy subject. It may not. You're calling the new district Timpanogos. I've heard that there's some pushback on that. Are you in love with Timpanogos?
No,
or are you
it's too
open
long. The kids aren't going to spell that now. It's too long, too far down on the list, right? We've been Alpine. We've been at the top of the list for all these years. I've heard a suggestion of Geneva. sort of as an homage to Geneva Steel. Geneva Steel was what really started Orem City on the map. We had Geneva Elementary, which is not there anymore. I'm open to something else. I'm not set. I am not of that limited mindset this is the name and we're going with that. I'm a growth mindset person, and you know what? Our schools are full of these really, really smart people, and I want to hear their suggestions.
Well, let's put in a plug for Orem School District. I would imagine there's 4 other towns that aren't excited about that. I'll give it a shot.
All right. Orem School District. All right, I'll put that on the list.
You'll give it all its due consideration,
yes,
right? Yeah,
yes.
I can. Yeah, I
Yes.
feel like I may be a lost cause there, but I got to try.
Yeah.
The new school district right now does not have a special ed school in it.
Right.
Dan Peterson is
Right.
somewhere north. I'd have to think about where it is, but
Yep.
does that present a problem that we can surmount, or how do you see approaching that one?
Well, I think right now the current Alpine School Board is thinking that they will do some kind of shared services, and that's fine. But I think the goal should be to have our own special ed school. And guess what? We have some empty buildings. We have Valley View Elementary sitting empty. We have Sharon Elementary sitting empty. So it's not like we don't have the real estate. But that special ed school like Dan Peterson, very, very expensive to get set up. What I would love is for us to elect a board member somewhere in our board that is really good with grant writing and knows where those special ed grants are. Because grants, you don't pay back. That's not a loan. That's free and clear money. And if we could have someone that was really great at grant writing and finding those grants, we could set up our own. And that should be our goal, to have our own.
One of the interesting about Orem is we have a lot of charter schools. There's Mazer, there's Noah Webster, there's UCAS, which is, by the way, UCAS is a fantastic school.
Yeah.
In fact, let me start out this way. If you had a student come to you who was very technically adept, would you be comfortable saying, you know what, UCAS is the place for you?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. I would love it if we took one of our high school campuses and think about it this way. If MTech and UCAS got together and made a baby, that would be a CTE STEM high school where we would just have those services at one of the high schools. That's a dream. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I think the charter schools have a space for our kids, right? You have kids that are science and math minded. UCAS is the place for them. You have kids that need a lot of structure. Mazer's the place for them. You have kids that are that just learn differently. Franklin Discovery down in Vineyard, great for them. But I would love to think that if we were to start our own district, that we took a lot of input from parents, especially about the schedule and classes and that in that space. A lot of those parents may be thinking, maybe I'll try the new district. Maybe I'll give them a try, just because whatever was happening in the school with Alpine District was not working for them. That's a hard decision to make. When you take your kid out of the school where their friends are and that's where they feel a sense of community, and you either put them in a charter, you put them into a private, you put them into an online, you put them into homeschool. That's a tough decision that a parent had to make. And then they had to continue to tell their kid, we're going to do it this way. We weren't happy with what was happening. We're going to try this. I'm hoping that with the creation of a new district where we will take lots of input from parents. And when I say we will take input, I'm hoping that we elect myself and 6 other board members that are going to let parents have a lot of input on how the district is set up, the policies that we set, the schedule that we set during the day, the classes that we offer, that they will give us a chance. Just give us a chance to see where we come out and then make that decision to bring your kids back. I think we have a lot of kids that are in those charter schools, in the online schools, in the home schools, in the private schools, that maybe they'll come back, and maybe the parents will again feel that sense of community with their kids.
So it sounds like not only you're aware of the charter schools and aware of their specialties, and that you want to have a good relationship with them, but it also sounds like you want to look at what they do.
Yeah.
And say, hey, can we do it better, or can we do it as good?
Yeah, I mean,
can
if you look at
from each
you
other?
look at Mazer, right? They do all 8 classes every day, but they're only Monday through Thursday, and then Friday is kind of a remediation day if the kids need it. How many of my Orem High parents, my traveling sports Orem High parents, would be like, yes, that would work for us, because they're missing Friday already to travel to wherever for baseball, softball, soccer, you name it. How many parents would have their kids do everything they had to do Monday through Thursday so that come Friday morning they were on the road to wherever they needed to go? I think there's a better way to educate our kids, and this whole smooth and careful transition from one district to the other just means we're going to rubber stamp what we've been doing in Alpine all these years, and let's think outside the box.
Build a better district.
Build a better district.
All right. Well, one of the policies that's come up recently, and one that we're going to talk about, is the legislature just banned the use of cell phones in, I think, all grades.
Yes, all grades. Yep.
If you
have an IEP, you can have your cell phone.
If you need it for like a special needs or something like that. Thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you think?
2 thumbs way up, because this is getting our kids to focus on being present in the classroom. I think a lot of kids haven't been present in the classroom, and let's be present.
And of course, if your thumbs up, you can't text, so that's even better.
Exactly.
We talked about cell phone policy being passed by the legislature. We touched a little bit about working with the legislature. Do you want to say anything else about that? I mean, obviously, the legislature sets a lot of education policy. They do the funding. They do so many things. And, I've experienced school board members that are openly hostile. I've experienced school board members that are kind of indifferent, and I've experienced school board members who are just want to work with you. They realize that we're all in this together, and we have a stake in it. What kind of school board member will you want to be? Not that I set you up to kind of go one way here.
I'm a person that likes to collaborate with people and find the best options, right? And that's usually done with having a good working relationship with people and just treating them with respect. So if we had a legislator that was open to looking at, renegotiating RDAs, looking at maybe reassessing how our district's going to be split up, but then also that is just going to listen to my issue or the issue of the school district, and I'm happy to work with them. That means they meet in January, usually end of January to the beginning of March. I'm committed that, hey, I'm going to be up there. You can count on me to be up there to answer questions, to tell you what I need from them and what they need from me, and working together. I just don't see having this adversarial relationship with legislators is not moving anything forward. And the same with the city councils and the city mayors. I think the Prop 2 initiative that went on in Orem for an Orem-only district had our school board members from Orem, had they been more proactive in the time from when Mayor Young was elected to when he was sworn into office. That's November to the beginning of January. Had our board members proactively called him and said, congratulations on your win. I would love to sit down with you and just find out where you are in education and see where we meet. that I think it wouldn't have gotten so ugly so quick had our board members been more proactive with the new mayor and the city council.
Well, let's throw out an implied invitation here if any legislators are listening. Legislators like to hold town halls.
Yeah.
And it would be nice. I mean, I can think there's times when I've done it with Alpine and we've had a good response. Are you willing to hold town halls with legislators where maybe they field most of the questions, but when education comes up, they can toss that over to you?
Yeah, I think I'm so open to having a bigger conversation with the people of Orem and the people in our new district and our legislators. This is not a legislature dictates everything that's going to happen and we do that. And this is not the board is going to dictate everything and we're going to do that. I think we got to work together. It really does take all of us working together to make education work for our kids, right? And I think after that first 100 days that our school board has been sworn in, we should have a town hall style meeting, and we should meet our new superintendent, and we should meet our new business administrator, and we should have our legislators there, and we should be having a bigger conversation with the people of this district.
All right, if any legislators are listening, there you go. I just tossed it out for you.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, you mentioned earlier about taking what UCAS has done and sort of expanding that, working with MTech or Mountain Lands Tech, whatever they're called these days.
Yeah.
And doing more with career and technical education.
Yeah.
Right? And I've also, I can say this right now, my son's been looking at this, and the fact is if you're a skilled contractor or skilled handyman, you can make a lot of money.
You can.
I mean, college isn't necessarily the answer for everybody. How do you foster that idea that trades and tech are a very honorable route to go, and how do you help that happen for your students?
Well, I think not all kids are going to go into construction, but there's nothing wrong with those kids also learning to do electrical work or do drywall work or do HVAC work. MTech is great because MTech teaches them a trade. So then when they go on to college to do something else that they're interested in, they got skills to pay the bills. And we don't need to be taking out all these student loans. There's no reason if you go to MTech while you're in Alpine School District right now, they pay your full tuition. You pay
Free to the
fees.
student, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And why more people don't take advantage of this, I don't understand. But some kids are made to go to college. And some kids are made to work with their hands. I'm a parent of kids that work with their hands for 100%. I think they get it from me because my husband he's a guy that is a teacher, right? And so he's a book guy. He's a book smart guy.
Oh, I've met Carson. He's a complete nerd in the best possible way.
In the best possible way,
Yeah.
he is the yin to my yang.
Love
right?
you, Carson, but you were a nerd. Buddy.
He is, but
He's probably complimented by that.
He is because nerds rule the world, right? They run this world.
Well, I mean, I consider myself a nerd. I work at Adobe, and we're definitely geeks here. In fact, that brings me to something I wanted to talk about. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but when I was first at Adobe, one of the things I did was actually resurrect the iHeart Tech program.
Yes.
And I ran that for 2 years
Yeah.
as on the community council at Adobe.
Yeah.
What's your feeling about iHeart Tech and partnering with Adobe and other high-tech industries around the valley?
You know what? We are Silicon Slopes here, and we should be introducing our kids to all kinds of businesses that are here, but Adobe is certainly a big one, and teaching our kids. They also have the SheTech conference for the girls, and girls learning to code.
Girls Who Code, yep.
Yes, my goodness. Our girls can do anything. I mean, I own my own security business. I passed the qualifying agents exam for a security business on my own. I am 100% behind girls going out and doing all of those things. But yeah, the iHeart Tech with Adobe, the SheTech, the Girls That Code, all of it. It's fantastic. I think Karsten actually, when he was teaching, he would do a field trip every week. He would take new kids down and show them Adobe and all the things that they're doing there, which is cool.
And I know Adobe's open to that. They open their doors. They have kids come in. They show them the ropes. It's really a great partnership. And I think there's a lot of other tech companies. In fact, you go up to Point of the Mountain, it's loaded with tech companies.
Yes.
And I got to think, that's a great way to get a snapshot of, okay, if you're into tech, here's your future.
Yeah.
Well, so next question along these, a little different here. All right, well, I obviously I'm a tech guy, and I'm glad to hear that you want to see that kind of a partnership. Along those lines of improving things in high school, I know a lot of school board members have mentioned to me the idea of moving ninth grade from junior high to high school. I know the curriculum considers ninth grade a part of high school. I mean, it seems to make a lot of sense. What are your thoughts on moving ninth grade into high school?
Well, when I was in with the PTA, we would ask our members a lot, like, what do you want to see? And I would say the majority of our parents were like, yes, move my ninth grader. Ninth graders are in this weird space, right? You have their ninth grade, so now their grades count for graduation, right? But they're at the junior high. So sometimes we get kids that go from junior high into high school not on track to graduate. So that's super frustrating to the high school, because I think those principals have said, hey, we want to own our ninth graders from the beginning, from ninth grade to graduation. But they're also, you got the sports in there. You got kids that are ninth graders playing on varsity teams at the high schools. And you have to get your kid out of school and get them over there. They have ninth graders want to go over and they want to do weight training with their team at the high school. You have to go get them from the junior high and check them out, and then you got to take them over to the high school and get them in there. And it's a lot. It's a lot. But then you also have that social part of it, right? That the ninth graders want to go to the football games. They want to go to the dances. They want to hang out with the 10th graders and not the 8th graders. So I feel for the 9th graders, kind of trapped in the middle here. For me, I am a proponent of moving those 9th graders. For
So
sure.
a big fan of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of capital needs that would have to happen if that were to be the case, because clearly high schools right now aren't big enough for another full grade to move in, I would assume. And that brings up kind of a bigger question of, clearly you're going to be doing some future building, you're going to be doing upgrades, you're going to be doing seismic refits, and all that, unfortunately costs money.
Yeah.
And the only place you get it from is the taxpayers. Well, there's some grants, but I think those are pretty specialized. What's your feeling on bonding, taxing, property taxes, all that stuff? How are you going to approach that whole idea? Because a lot of people are going to be coming with that big ask. What are you going to tell them?
Well, when it comes to building and building needs, capital needs, those kinds of things, I think there's some budget there out of Alpine School District that we can start with, but down the road at some point we may have to go out for a general obligation bond. That's better than us raising property taxes, because property taxes, when you raise them, when have your property taxes ever gone back down? But on a general obligation, never. But on a general obligation bond, that eventually you pay it off. But I think one way to offset that is if we were to go out for a general obligation bond, and on that bond, we said we're going to build a new park site, and we put that park site on the Geneva property right there on 400 North. And then we leveled the current Parkside property. The infrastructure is there. We could lot it off. We could have the high school classes maybe partner with a construction company or a developer and build homes on that property and sell the homes. The districts sell the homes. We could pay that general obligation bond off a little faster.
So you're going to try your best to not raise taxes. Now, one thing Alpine has been very, very much in the habit of is they do a bond, and then about the time the bond's going to expire,
Yeah,
they'll do
layer
another
'em.
bond.
They layer 'em.
They layer them so that your taxes never actually recede back.
They never recede back down.
And I assume that's
But-
not something that you want to repeat.
No, I don't think always being in debt is a good idea either, right? I like the Dave Ramsey method of how you just living debt free, right? But if we could lot off that Parkside property and we built 12 or 15 homes, and we already own the land. So we're just talking about building supplies, and the kids are building the homes. We sell those homes. We're going to pay that bond off quite a bit faster than normal. We could put it on steroids, build those homes. Who's not going to want to buy a brand new home in the middle of Orem on a quarter acre or a 0.2 acre lot in Orem that backs up to a brand new elementary school?
I wish my home was on a quarter acre lot. That sounds like
Exactly.
a deal.
So I mean, that's something to look at. There's a solid idea to look at where we're bonding, but we're paying that bond off faster than we normally would. So the Dave Ramsey method of snowballing it, let's do that. I like that idea. Yeah.
Well, the Trump administration recently has basically redefined Title IX, or I should say clarified Title IX, to say that biological boys, cannot participate in girls' sports. Now, clearly, high school, that's a huge deal, because if you have boys participating in girls' sports, and obviously they have a physical advantage, they're going to take away scholarships. They're going to discourage girls who are just trying to compete and win in their category. How are you going to respond to the attempts for some parents to put their boys into girls' sports, to say that they're girls, they deserve to be in the bathroom, all of those things? What do you say?
When it comes to girls or boys and girls sports, I mean, President Trump is very clear. We're not going to do that. That's not that we're not going to do that. My husband was the tennis coach for the girls tennis team. This was a big concern that we would have, that one of the schools would show up with a boy who thought he was a girl to play girls tennis, and that can injure a girl so quickly. They hit the ball 2 or 3 or 4 times harder than a normal girl tennis player. There's a reason why Serena Williams will not play a boy, because she knows she will get hurt. And so Karsten made that decision pretty early on, that if a team showed up with a transgender girl on their team, that the team would forfeit. Mountain View would forfeit that rather than risk a girl getting hurt. And we're going to hold that line. There are not going to be girls or boys playing in girls' sports in our district. And if you think you're going to make us, our policy is we forfeit. We would rather forfeit than risk a girl being hurt. And it's not fair. It's just not fair. I don't understand why we don't have, if we're going to have a boys team and then we can have a girls team, okay, have a transgender team. You can all play together. It's fine. If you think your boy is a girl and that he should be playing against a girl, have a transgender team, I think. I don't know.
And of course, sports is one issue, and it's a big one.
Yeah.
The other one obviously is safe spaces, bathrooms, all of that stuff. You're going to have, again, some parents who are steeped in that. What do you tell them?
No, I don't. No is a complete sentence. No, we're not gonna have boys and girls bathrooms, and the fact that we haven't been holding that standard in our schools currently, it has made me very angry. I don't need other people in the bathroom with my daughters. So it's gotten to the point where my daughters did not use the bathroom at school. So they would just hold it till they came home.
Excellent. Well, another part of this whole thing is, and it's not so much a controversy now as it was in the past, but Gay Straight Alliance clubs, different kinds of organizations like that. How would the new school district approach that?
Well, I would be one board member that would say we're going to set a policy, and I just don't think we should be having our kids talk about their sexuality at school. Is that an appropriate place to be discussing that kind of stuff and promoting that kind of stuff? I think we set a policy that we're not going to allow those kinds of ideologies and to be promoted and to be on display and all of that. And the superintendent's job is to enforce a policy. So we set the policy, he enforces the policy. If he doesn't want to enforce that policy, well, we can find ourselves another superintendent that will enforce the policy, because the superintendent is hired by the school board. They set the policy. So if we have teachers that are really wanting to promote their gay straight alliance clubs and all of that and want to have their pride flags and all of that, maybe they should find a different district. I don't want to say, hey, don't come here, but I just don't think that this is the place you want to do that.
Let's touch on that a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, pride flags are banned.
Yes,
now
they are.
in Utah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For good reason. In fact, all flags except the U.S. and the Utah flag are banned. Well, I guess both versions of the Utah flag,
Yeah.
for that matter. But I like this version myself. Teachers who decide to inject their ideology. I mean, in all fairness, whether it's far left or even the far right, woke conspiracy, whatever. I mean, the hardline conspiracies. How do you deal with that with teachers who want to promote stuff that's outside of the curriculum?
Well, is school the place to do that?
Well, I don't think so.
I
but
don't-
some
I don't
teachers do
think
as
so.
well. So, but how do you handle it if they do?
Our policy is that we're not going to. I would say not going to allow promotion of the transgender ideology and the gay straight alliance clubs, and I think there has to be a sensible, reasonable policy in place, and then the superintendent should enforce that policy with those teachers. And if they choose to, hey, I don't agree with that, bring me evidence of how it's going to be positive in a kid's life. How is any of that going to be positive? Mm-hmm. Give me something to think about. Give me a reason. Give me your reason why.
So there'll be some negotiation. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
if a teacher insists on promoting that,
I just think maybe that's just school's not the place for that.
so there'll be a policy saying you
Yeah.
can't do that, and if you break the policy, well, that is an offense that can get you to a new district or somewhere else.
Right.
All right. Now here's one that is really touchy, and let me say it. Let me set it up this way. Back in my freshman term, there was a Democrat representative who ran a bill basically saying if you can't read by the end of, let's say, third grade, if you're not reading at level by the end of third grade, that students have to be held back until they can learn to read. All right. In other words, they have to repeat third grade and learn to read again. And that gets to the whole idea of social promotion versus merit promotion. All right. Again, it's a touchy subject. Do you hold a kid back? Do you let him go ahead? What do you do?
No. Don't. Why would we hold a kid back if he's having trouble reading? That's where you would put in a reading interventionist with them. But I think parents would know if their kids are having a hard time reading. I had a kid that came out of kindergarten that wasn't making the connections between the letter sounds. Did I say hold them back? No. Did I go and find a tutor that specialized in helping a kid with those, making those sounds, making that connection? Yes. Do we have reading interventionists in our elementary schools? Yes. Do we have ways to help those kids? Yes. Holding them back? I just have never thought that holding a kid back was going to be beneficial to them. I think getting them extra help, get extra focus, that might that might require a parent to be more engaged in their kids' education. And is that so wrong? No, I think parents should be engaged in that.
All right, and that kind of gets me to the other end of that spectrum. Clearly, you've got some very clear-cut feelings on that. We see a lot of high school students getting close to graduation who
Yes.
really, I mean, they can't do the math.
Right.
They can't do the English.
Right.
They don't know the science. I
Yep.
mean, and the way the requirements are structured, it's pretty easy to get the credits.
Right.
And your senior year, you can take half your time off and have a vacation. We've made it better, but that's still the case.
Yeah, no.
Is that the right way to go, or what do we
No.
do here?
You know how many teachers have had an admin come to them for seniors in high school and say, okay, this kid is failing. We need them to graduate. What can they do to get a D minus in your class so we can get them over the finish line here? That didn't do anything for that kid. That did nothing. If a kid has not earned their graduation, why are we graduating them?
So what do we do instead? You get a student who just isn't going to do the work for whatever reason, and there's kids like that. They're not going to do it. They're not ready.
So they made a GED for this reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. Then your alternative is a GED as opposed to a high school diploma. We are super focused on our graduation rate in the high schools. It's big. When you go to a school community council meeting, this is what they talk about is graduation rate and what their graduation rate is. But I would love to know the graduation. What is the GPA? What is the GPA of all those kids? What's our highest GPA? What's our lowest GPA? And how many kids are we making negotiations with the teacher to get them over that finish line? I think that's one thing Karsten really disliked about when he was teaching was he taught general financial literacy. The most important class a high schooler will take is that general financial literacy, right? Mm-hmm. They know how to manage their money and manage all of that.
How to not get payday loans.
Yes. Oh gosh, payday loans.
Yeah, don't get you started, right?
Don't even get me started on those. But financial literacy, that important class. How many admins had to come to him with seniors saying, how do we get this kid a D in your class? Mm-hmm. And usually Karsten will say, well, first they have to show up. Mm-hmm. So again, when the kids aren't showing up to school, that goes back to those truancy laws that no longer have teeth in them. Mm-hmm. And we need to put some teeth back in them.
Okay. We've talked a lot about how students need to be proficient before they graduate. You're not going to just push them out the door if they don't earn their way to it. What are some yardsticks that you're going to use to measure how well the students are doing, not only in high school, but I mean, obviously you don't want to wait till high school if you got a problem. How do you get an objective measurement of how students are doing and let that guide what you're going to do?
Well, as you're going through school, right, they're assessing your proficiency in any one category. I just think they have the tier 1 instruction right now in Alpine. They have tier 1, they have tier 2, tier 3, where they're trying to catch those kids that are not being proficient. But in high school, the greatest barometer if a kid's gonna graduate and do well or any of that is attendance. They got to come to school every day. And since COVID, we have not made attendance in school a priority. You have families taking vacations all times of the year, and we should make school a priority. We should make attendance a priority in those schools because it's attendance that's really putting the kids behind. So you miss one day a week. You're talking about an entire month of school that you've just missed because you're home. So I would encourage parents, let's make attendance a priority in our schools.
Well, the fact is I don't sit in your area. You cover essentially the west side of Orem. Now, do you cover Vineyard at all?
Mm-hmm.
Does Seat 4
No,
cover
I
Vineyard?
just cover the west side of Orem between the freeway and like Mountain View High School, that whole area,
Okay.
all the way up to 1600 North.
Okay, so not all the way to State, but kind of Mountain View west to the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, clearly, the people in your district are going to go to the polls, and they're going to see two names
Yeah.
on the ballot: Julie Walker and somebody else.
And somebody else.
Um,
That doesn't
why?
matter.
Why should they mark the Julie Walker bubble? Why should they give you their vote?
Well, I feel like I'm uniquely qualified. This is going to be like starting a new business, right? I don't need to have experience on a school board to know how to start a new school board from the ground up. I have the time. I have the knowledge. I have the energy. Believe it or not, I think this is going to be a really big job for 7 people. And I need the voters to pick 7 people that are going to have an open mind, that are going to be easy to work with. That I think I have become one of those people that can disagree with someone, but not become disagreeable. We can have a conversation. I'm not afraid to have a conversation. I'm not afraid to kind of discuss issues. And I'm not so set in my ways that it has to be my way or the highway. But I'm willing to work with 6 other people to create a really fantastic school district for our children, because that's what it's about, right? We want to have an educated society, and we want to do it being fiscally responsible, and we want to do it while we're creating a community for all of our families. And I just think you need to have someone with my skill set. With a people person that will just listen, that can just listen. I feel like I haven't been listened to. Do you feel like you get listened to with all the other?
I haven't had kids in
Legislators.
school for a while, but when I did, the answer was no. Except that I was in the legislature, so I maybe got a little more traction, but not everybody can do that.
Yeah, no.
So, all right, Julie Walker is running for school board. Her area is essentially the west side of Orem.
Yeah.
And Julie, how do people get in touch with you?
Oh, they could call me.
You get a phone number?
I do. It's 801-592-2951. Guess who I love to have call me? I love to have legislators call me so I
Okay.
can talk about things with them.
All right.
And I will be nice. You can email me, Julie for school board at gmail.com.
Is that Julie the digit 4 or is that FOR?
It's the digit.
Actually, just spell it out here.
Yeah. And then I also have a website,
Okay.
julieforschoolboard.com.
Okay. And that's JULIE, the digit 4,
School board.
school board.
Yeah.
If you don't have school board, I feel sorry for you. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Any parting thoughts? Anything we didn't get to?
When I get elected, I want to come back and tell you all the things I'm doing.
You know, we'll try to do more of this. I mean, as long as people are interested and want to hear about it, I'm more than happy to try to get the word out. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.